Good evening, everyone. I appreciate everyone's attendance here today. I'm Leticia Jones, the Village Administrator for this lovely Village of Broadview. While Mayor Thompson couldn't join us this evening, she wanted to emphasize the significance of our discussion this evening. Mayor Thompson highlights our many benefits of electric vehicles. Number one, cost savings. Transitioning to an electric car can significantly reduce and even eliminate the fuel expenses. Additionally, by solar power through rooftop installation, you can further diminish costs, producing your own electricity, enabling you to avoid rising monthly bills associated with charging your vehicle, offering the potential to completely eliminate fuel expenses from your budget. Number two, environmental impact. Traditional vehicles, of course, they give out carbon dioxide, contributing to the greenhouse gases and the climate change. In contrast, all electric vehicles produce zero carbon emissions during operation. Hybrid cars elevate the batteries to extend travel distance, significantly reducing the gasoline-powered engines, thus producing a great impact. Lastly, energy independence. Conventional vehicles rarely solely are on gasoline. That means that they are adding expenses to your gas costs. Electric vehicles, however, draw power from the electric grid, which can be generated through various methods. By embracing electric vehicles and incorporating renewable energy resources like solar panels, individuals can achieve energy independence. Pairing a solar PV system with your electric vehicle enables owners to generate free electricity from sunlight, eliminating the need to purchase fuel from gas stations. We want to extend gratitude to Darnell Johnson, the CEO of Urban Efficiency, also Wyndon Jones, for spearheading tonight's conversation. With that being said, I thank you all again for being here, and I want to introduce to you Mr. Wyndon Jones. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones, and welcome everyone on behalf of C4, the Cross Community Climate Collaborative. I am the Director of Sustainability for Urban Efficiency Group, which is a sustainability design firm, and we're also co-consultants for C4, the Cross Community Climate Collaborative. So on behalf of the executive team with Mayor Katrina Thompson from the Village of Broadview, President Vicky Skaman from the Village of Oak Park, and President Kathy Aducci from the Village of River Forest, we would like to invite you all and welcome you to the EV adoption listening session for the Village of Broadview. Obviously, we are in the very early stages of the EV adoption in this region, but we are working together because we believe in achieving sustainability solidarity, working between cross-sectoral engagements and developments, but also with each individual. So we have a lot of opportunities and resources that we're going to provide today. Director or Chief Matthew Martin is going to come up and give some updates where the village stands in their EV adoption process. But in C4, we just like to set the tone and say that we understand there are so many different initiatives and thousands of different ways to be more sustainable, more energy efficient, more inclusive and equitable in how we engage with our communities, but also residents and businesses. Because in our philosophy, we understand that all of those things are tied together. So we have a series of different EV-focused listening sessions. Also, we focus on things like green landscape technology and energy efficiency. So many different initiatives that we feel there should be multiple, multi-pronged approaches in terms of how we're engaging the community, but also making an impact. In terms of the evolving technology, we understand it's Black and brown communities who are often last to the table and last to get the information about these opportunities and last to actually participate in what we're witnessing as the energy evolution as it stands. So before I continue to run my mouth, I want to bring up Chief Martin to just give a general update on where we are in the Village of Broadview. I'll kind of give the forward as he, comes in and gives more background on where we stand as far as the safety concerns and those things that we're mitigating. So we're actually looking forward to installing one charging station right now. We actually have a couple of projects on the horizon. We have actually a grant from ComEd to get that done, as well as resources from the Cook County as well to get that done too. So again, multi-pronged approaches is the only way to move forward here. And then I'll talk more about the presenters and guests we have who shed a lot more light on the EV adoption and how we can put our best foot forward and seizing these opportunities. So Chief Martin, would you come on and share some words with us? Sure.
Good evening, everyone. As Mr. Jones has mentioned, my name is Matt Martin. I'm the Deputy Chief of Broadview Fire Department. With me, I have our Fire Inspector, Marty Scafidi. We have been in conversations with not only Mayor Thompson and the C4 initiative, but also with the Urban Efficiency Group and their team in regards to the EV adoption that's been going on in the village of Broadview. And we're still somewhat in the infancy, but we're now moving forward into some new forms of this project. And as we get into that, we're starting to now have some more serious conversations about this EV adoption within the village. It's a pretty exciting time for the village of Broadview to see this now starting to come to actually become reality, where it started as just a simple conversation. Where it stands for us as the fire department is we are going to stay in the background and stay in the conversation with respect to the safety standards that go along with the installation of any EV charging stations. So whether we see those in industrial, commercial, single-family, multifamily, residential areas, we want to make sure that all of the safety standards are being followed. All the manufacturers are vetted, and we know exactly what we're getting in the village of Broadview so that our community is safe, not only for our residents, but for those that travel through as well. As we know, Broadview is a flourishing community. We have visitors from outside of the area, and we want to make sure that everyone within our community, our residents primarily, but also our visitors, are protected. And those EV charging stations are for everyone that come to visit Broadview. So we want to make sure that all the safety standards are in place. So we're going to stay in the background. We're going to continue to work with Winton and Darnell and his team, and make sure that all of these EV charging stations that are going to be installed are going to have all the safety measures in place. Fire Inspector Scafidi's been working really hard behind the scenes to make sure of that, making sure the fire codes are going to be followed, electrical codes are going to be followed, working with the building department and Commissioner Upshaw, working with Public Works Director Ames. So this has been a one-team approach, and so far so good. So we're moving along and we're on our way, and really excited to continue working with the team, and looking forward to getting to see where this goes. So as you mentioned, we're getting close to seeing this become a reality. So with our first EV charging station. So we've seen some in the village going in within private areas, private industrial, in our industrial section, right? We've seen a couple EV charging stations go in there. So we know it's a reality and we know it's happening. So we just have to stay ahead of the curve, make sure the safety standards are in place, and make sure the protection is there from the perspective of the fire department. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yep.
Questions? Yes. Is there any type of business licensing or permitting or certification that's required by the village?
For the installation,
For what we have now? You said there's some spaces already that has, in the industrial sector, there's some places.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any type of permitting or licensing that's necessary?
answer that.
Yeah, so there are a couple of industrial areas right now that they have permitted for, and of course, this is going to be through the building department in order to get their electrical permits and everything else that they have to do in order to be approved in order to use their electrical stations.
Yes. So for Village Ones, it will be the same. Yes.
The ones that have gone in industrial areas or going in, are those going to be used for personal vehicles, or are those going to be used for the industrial vehicles?
Those have been, from my understanding, they're private use for that facility. Yeah, they're not public, they're not for public use.
You know if they're DCFC chargers?
They're level 2.
Level 2?
Yes.
They're level 2 chargers, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, would it be for the people that work there as vehicles, or will it
Yes.
be for, oh, it will be, very nice.
Yes. Yes. That is, yeah, that was their intention. So, yep.
All right. Any other questions? No? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chief and Marty. Sorry for cutting it quick there. We will have a Q&A dedicated section, so as these questions come up, please jot them down, save them for later. Next, we'll have presenters from the Walker Miller Energy Services team. They have been chosen as the implementer for the ComEd Beneficial Electrification Plan, focused on transportation. So literally resources dedicated to residents, business owners, community-based organizations, even municipal fleets. But today we wanted to give an opportunity for the residents and business owners to get this information firsthand from the experts themselves. Before we transition into that, I just want to give a little bit more context on our approach at UEG and C4 in terms of this EV adoption as a whole. There are tons of different resources at the federal level, you know, thinking about the Justice 40 executive, where we actually can seek and, you know, reap the benefits from a lot of these energy, you know, transition and adoption opportunities. But at the smaller, more hyper-local level, there are fewer and fewer opportunities for communities like Broadview, but also like all the communities that we serve in C4. So this is why we have this additional intentionality to ensure, one, we're bringing subject matter experts into the conversation to make sure residents have the best, you know, information to make the best decisions in terms of the EV adoption, but also ensuring that the village itself has as much information, as many opportunities to be as equitable and inclusive as possible in this transition as a whole. So that's kind of the approach that we have and why we are so eager to continue to grow and develop in this area and have more conversations. So now I think I'll go ahead and bring up Gene Beacom and Luke Burrows from the Walker Miller Energy Services team to present on a high level on electric vehicle technology, but also kind of layering into some of the benefits from the ComEd Beneficial Electrification Plan focused on transportation and EV adoption specifically. So come on up.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Thank you, C4. And just want to talk to you about who Walker Miller is and how we got involved with this beneficial electrification program. But I just want to tell you, our presentation is going to be about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're going to leave plenty of time for a Q&A afterwards. So just write down your questions, and we'll get to it and answer any questions you may have. Yeah. Okay. So who is Walker Miller? We are a 24-year-old company organization. We've got a lot of experience working with utility companies throughout those years. Our founder and CEO, Carla Miller Walker, she owns the organization. She's, like I said, she's the founder and CEO. One of her quotes, "Our commitment to empower people and enrich communities means we must do more than just talk about equity. We budget for equity and thoughtfully and intentionally integrate it into every effort." So I just want to tell you a little bit about Carla. She's a great human being. We love her. So just, you know, as I'd mentioned, we work with a lot of utility companies. We specialize in mobility program design and management, EV charger assessment and installation management, equitable mobility research, and advancing diversity in EV. So again, I'm Jean Beacom. I represent the Beneficial Electrification Program with ComEd. So I'm the program manager for CNI. So, what is beneficial electrification and why electric vehicles? Well, September 2021 is an important date. Our Illinois governor signed the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act called CEJA. I don't know if you've ever heard that acronym before, but that's pretty important pathway to Illinois and progressing everything towards combating climate change. And it actually amended an electric vehicle act to include beneficial electrification, expanding EV charging infrastructure, decarbonization of Illinois, expanding equitable access to public health, providing a cleaner environment, providing quality jobs, and economic opportunity. So why should we electrify, right? You know, as we discussed, right, it doesn't require gas, right? Lower maintenance costs over time, reduces greenhouse emissions, there's hardly any vehicle noise. What we're finding too is homes that adopt and provide a level 2 charger in their house increases value. So that's pretty important. Electrification creates investments and assets in the infrastructure. Electric vehicle charging can position an area as a hub of innovation, attract new jobs, and increase economic growth. So here's the different charging options. Okay, you've got level 1, a level 2, level 3, and the program will cover the level 2 and level 3 chargers. So level 2 is really what people are going to have in their residence, and you know, as we discussed here, Broadview will also have the level 2 chargers. Now, the difference is with the level 2 chargers, that is something where you will charge a vehicle and it'll be pretty much overnight because it does take many, many hours for a full charge. Now, if you do get a level 3 charger, it is a fast charger. Usually that's about 15 minutes to an hour. So just so you know, if you decide to get any other chargers going forward, that would be the fast charger is a level 3. And we can talk about that too. Okay, so here's a program summary for residential and the business public sector. And under the business and public sector, we've got 2 sub-programs. So we've got the EV rebates, and then we've got the Make Ready rebates. So just to cover the residential EV charger real quick, we've got the, so under that program, it covers, the rebate will cover the charger and the installation. So it covers both for the resident. Now, business and public sector is a little bit different. So it's called a Make Ready rebate. So what we're doing is we're covering the Make Ready piece of it. So in front of the meter, behind the meter, but we're not covering the chargers for that. And I know there's probably going to be a lot of questions on that, so definitely write that down and let me know what those might be. So the EV rebates, that is for your vehicle, and that is for commercial vehicles. So that is light duty to heavy duty to transit buses to school buses. So just to let you know, it does not cover any residential or any private vehicles. So just to give you a little bit more about the residential EV charger and installation rebate, there's $5 million a year dedicated to this program, and we just began. So there's a lot of money out there that we can help a lot of people. So a base rebate is about $2,500 to cover the charger and installation, and then for select customers would be $3,750. So $3,750 would cover the installation and the chargers for residents. Okay, so how do you apply, right? That's such an important question. So that is a very long URL, but just to give you a more simpler one, it's www.comed.com/clean. So we can definitely share that with anyone here and provide any slides that you'd like to see. But to give you an idea, you need to apply when the project is complete, and you need to apply within 90 days of when it's complete. So Right now, February 1st is the deadline, which is an important date. So hopefully we've got some people here that, that are thinking about these dates and applications. So I think the important part is it's when your project is complete, you'll want to go ahead and apply for that program, okay? And then what you'll want to do too is upload any contractor's bills and any charger invoices as well. Oh, another thing too is I know we talked about that you're going to be using a little bit more electricity. That is true, but you're going to be using it off peak hours. So we're going to put you on the best rate possible to make sure that we're minimizing your electricity cost. So just wanted to let you know that. Select customers' eligibility requirements. I think this, someone said maybe a question like this might come up, but this is part of the application process. So when you finish an application, there's at least one of the two criteria that you should, take a look at, and you will be offered the higher rebate, so the $3,750. So if you have any questions, just let us know. So just we're kind of going through this kind of fast, but we wanted to make sure that we're kind of touching on a little bit of everything here. But now skipping forward to the business and public sector, make-ready rebates. This is the one where we don't pay for the chargers, right? We pay for the installation and getting it ready for in front of the meter and behind the meter. So, for example, if you're doing a level 2 charger, like the Village of Broadview, we would pay either the $5,333 or the $8,000, and it would depend on the amount of ports. So we pay per port for the level 2 chargers, and then for the fast chargers, we pay by kW. So in case you're wondering what that might look like, let us know, and we can calculate that for you if you think about getting a level 3 charger later on down the road. And as you can see, there's $20 million for this program, so there's still a lot of money left. And so we definitely want to help anyone who's interested in adopting EV. So this is a slide, I think, that can show you a little bit more about the make-ready infrastructure. When I talk about front of the meter, behind the meter, we're talking about either transformers or we're talking about control panels at your business. So it includes panels, meters, trenching, site work, labor, circuit dedicated to EV charging, anything, like I said, except the chargers, and the mounting and pedestals are not covered as well. So how to apply for that? Very similar to the residential. Just go to www.comed.com/clean, and it'll get you right to that program page. Again, with this program, you're going to want to apply when your project is complete. The following information. So this one has a little bit different dates. So just to talk about this a little bit more, we've got a May 15th deadline for anyone that's started a project from June 1st to February 15th. So if you've started a project, you're going to want to go ahead and get that into the system. Like I said, the rebates cover the make-ready cost, includes labor, conduits, cable, fasteners, breakers. Now, if anyone has any questions about multifamily, multifamily is very complex sometimes. I can explain, whether or not that would go through residential or go through the make-ready program. Okay, so here are the EV rebates for the vehicles. So we've got $38 million in our budget for that. So there's school bus funding, transit, and there's light, medium, and heavy duty. And just to give you a little bit about the basics, there's 3 types of vehicle structures. So the battery electric vehicle and the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle will both be covered under the rebates. And the hybrid electric vehicle that is not a plug-in will not be covered. Again, you're going to want to apply at that same link, www.comed.com/clean. And again, it's 90 days. So you're going to want to purchase your vehicle first and then submit your application with all the requested documents. For that, it's going to be either your lease or your purchasing agreement with your vehicle registration. Okay, well, I was going to open it up to questions unless you want to see a fleet assessment. Does that sound good? Okay, I see some heads shaking up and down. Okay, good. Okay, so, oh gosh, okay. So Luke, do you want to do the fleet assessment?
Sure, I can point everyone in the right direction.
Okay, wait, let's see.
Give it up for the projector.
Yeah.
Really was working hard there.
Let's see.
Oh, are we unplugged? Okay.
So wanted to let you know this is Luke Burrows. He's our outreach specialist, so let's welcome Luke.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay,
Awesome.
is this the
Yeah.
one you wanted to go to?
If it'll show up, well, I can kind of talk through it too.
Okay.
So there are two tools we just want to make everyone aware of. There's one for residential and one for commercial and industry. The
Okay, there we go.
residential tool is called the EV calculator, and that's if you might have an electric vehicle already or are considering purchasing one, what would go into the cost savings as well as the environmental savings behind that. I can speak into the mic too. So let me walk through that one really quick. Oh, is that one open? Here we go. Can we see that? It's a little bit there, but this is also found at comed.com/cleanenergy. If you go to the residential or for home toolkit, you'll find all of this here, where it kind of shows you how much you're going to be saving from actually driving an EV car, depending on the cost of that metric. So for this instance, let's just use how much is gas right now in Broadview, roughly? $4? Okay, we'll keep it at $4, and we'll say, anyone drive an internal combustion engine vehicle here? I know I do. What kind of car is it, sir?
Actually, it's hybrid Ford Fusion,
Ford Fusion. What year?
2017.
2017. Great. We'll compare that one. All right, looks like the Wi-Fi has dropped on us too. So I can kind of just talk through this though. Like I said, this will kind of show you take an internal combustion engine vehicle on the left-hand side, input the price of gas as well as the mileage of the car. You put in the year, date, or the year, make, and model. And on the right side, you can compare that to any EV that's on the market currently. There are reused EVs that are more popular, getting sold for residential cars, rather, for single passenger cars. And then you can see side by side how much you're actually going to save from the cost of that $4 a gallon of petroleum. So in this instance, you can see the gas, or the internal combustion engine, drives about 24 miles for $4 worth of gas. The EV can get you 87 miles for that same $4 worth of electricity, because we're no longer charging it, or we're no longer fueling it with gas. You can also see, is it showing? Great. Exactly how much would it cost you to drive 15,000 miles per year, and you can change that amount on the EV calculator. Again, comparing the same make and model of the internal combustion engine and the EV. And then you can see how much it'll cost you over 5 years. The whole point of this calculator is just to break it down. Where are we getting these claims that EVs not just save carbon emissions, but also money? That is a claim that a lot of EV and even the petroleum companies love to push now, because it's pushing their bottom line of selling vehicles. So on the market, you can find a large variety of EVs used and new, but we wanted to break it down exactly how are you saving that money over the course of one drive of the car versus a lifetime of the car. And if our projector was working better, I could walk you all through it. The other thing, all right, yeah, maybe. is our vehicle models and saving estimator, or the fleet assessment that Gene mentioned. This is for the business and public sector. This is where you can see if I convert my entire fleet over to electric, how much is that going to cost me and how much is that going to save me? So that is also found at ComEd.com/clean. You would click on the business and public sector toolkit though. It's on the right side of the screen. And then you can scroll by type of vehicle. You can see passenger class, light duty electric, all the way up to school bus, I believe. Recycle or refuse or recycling trucks. We're actually in the process of converting Chicago's waste management team to electric vehicles. So you'll see some electric garbage trucks driving around. The school district of Hinsdale has recently signed on to convert their school bus fleet to electric as well. We'll be seeing a couple other municipalities do that in the coming year. And then electric buses. Anyone take a bus here? Likely you will be driving an electric bus in the next 5 years. So this tool allows you to see exactly where are we getting these numbers from, these claims that EVs are actually saving your fleet energy and money. Another way to walk through this in depth, if you want to get your fleet, your very specific fleet, converted or assessed and how much it'll save you, you can email ComEd or evsmart@comed.com. It's also on the back side of the pamphlets. That is kind of where our customer care center is. There's a phone number and email. For the fleet assessment as it stands today, your best bet is to reach out to that email address. To just email ComEd or evsmart@comed.com, say, hey, I have a fleet of this many cars, what's it going to cost me, what's it going to save me, how do I go through that application process? So those are the main tools we wanted to let you guys know about. We will share them. I think we'll share the deck with Winton, and he can share the actual PowerPoint with y'all, so you can, access these on your own time. Jean, did you want to?
Yeah, we can go over and answer questions. I know that there was about 10 or so questions that were emailed to us too. So, yeah, so you want us to, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
In that quick example, it quickly said $2,500 for gas, the Ford Fusion, but then it also said $682.
You're looking at this here?
A year,
Yep.
$689 per year. So that's what your comment bill would probably go up?
Yeah, and as Gene mentioned, we are going to put you, in order to be eligible for the residential or business rebates, you have to be, one, a ComEd customer, and two, on our hourly rate structure. So that is going to change the cost of a kilowatt hour depending on the time of day. Most people charge their EVs at night, when guess what? Kilowatt hours are super cheap then because no one's using electricity. If a lot of people are using electricity during the day, the price of a kilowatt hour will go up. If it's down at night, the price of a kilowatt hour will go down. So that's where that savings is coming from. With the fleet assessment tool, great question, that you can actually adjust your charging time to say, hey, if I have 20 school buses, I got to charge them at some point when I'm going to charge them. For most people, again, it's at night, but you can change that on the fleet assessment model to show you, I'm going to charge between this hour and this hour. How much is that going to cost me because I'm going to be on that hourly pricing structure? Again, that's different if I'm charging during the day versus at night. So this model assumes that you are charging at night. The fleet assessment model, you can drag and drop that hour however you'd like.
Okay, any other questions?
You mentioned that Hinsdale is going to be getting electric school buses. Are you aware of other communities that already get them?
There was another one that was just signed a rebate. It begins with an H as well.
Oh. It was Huntley.
Thank you, Huntley.
Yeah, that's the one that just went through, yeah.
Do you know when Hinsdale is expected?
I know they're filling out the application right now. I don't know when exactly they'll have those buses procured. Sorry.
And are you aware of any municipalities that have taken a look at fleet electrification?
Oak Park has.
Yeah, maybe
Park?
Corey could fill us in.
I
Thank you.
would figure as much with Ken Crowley.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions? We could go through a couple of the questions that people had maybe emailed us. Did you have another? Yeah, go ahead.
Comment here.
Also, in that same example, it does not include the cost for installations,
Are we talking residential or commercial?
residential.
Residential, are you talking about like this 689 on the screen?
Or the 2,500, or yeah, I guess.
Right, this is just for an actual EV, electric vehicle, not the charger, not the port. That savings comes from the rebate. It doesn't come, I mean, we're not saving money from installing a charger, but you are getting that money back if and when you apply for the rebate.
Yeah, right. You have to pay for the rebate first, and then, or for the installation, the charger first, and then you get the rebate. But what we are seeing is that the rebates are covering the contractor fees and the charging station. Yes, so, yeah. Yeah, so we're seeing that, either 2,500 or the 3,750 covers that, yeah. And if you're looking for a contractor, we're going to have the beneficial electrification service providers listed on the website pretty soon. But if you're looking for contractors, then you can contact us and we can give those names to you in the meantime.
And many of those contractors are actually trained to fill out the application on behalf of the customer too. It makes sense for them. It's free business, free money for them. They're going to get paid either way, whether it's from the rebate or the customer. So with that network, once it's launched, like Gene's saying, you could find an electrician to come, do the installation, and they'll actually do the application too, because they're going to get paid faster that way.
Yeah, and then all those installers too are ICC certified, specific to EV installation, yeah.
They know how to get the rebate. They know the rules of the game, so they're playing along with us. One thing I also want to point out that Gene mentioned in her presentation is that there are two rebates, right? The base rebate and the select rebate. The select rebate obviously is a little higher. The way that you find out if you're eligible through that, these tools are on our website on the application page itself, but one is to be income eligible, and that means you have to have 80% of the median income for Illinois. The other way, though, is to just have the right home address. There is a thing called environmental equity communities, right? Got the acronym. Certain zip codes, certain addresses are within one of those communities designated by the state of Illinois. If you live within that certain community, you are by definition in an EJ community and therefore eligible for the higher rebate, the $3,750 versus the $2,500. Most of Broadview is. Now, it really depends. I've seen people literally on the other side of the street who are in that community and some who are not. The designation is pretty arbitrary.
Yeah, so you really do have to put in your service address and not go by your zip code.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's EIEC,
Thank you.
Equity Investment Eligible Communities.
And those two, the income check as well as the EIEC check, are on the application page itself. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Okay, maybe you take that, okay.
Well, I know you went back to your seat, but we do have a little more Q&A. Yeah, basically.
Are those questions
Specific to the presentation, just additional things. I know there are definitely already some questions asked. I have developed some more questions just to make sure folks do have a well-rounded understanding of all the different things that are available right now. We will ensure that everyone who's in attendance will have access to the presentation. So you'll get those slides, you'll get all those links. And then I believe we'll also make sure that the recording can be played back as well. So what I hear is the virtual attendees did not have the same complications that we did in person. So we'll make sure you get that information. But one of the questions I wanted to just recap on is if I recently installed EV infrastructure, can I be reimbursed?
So for residential, no, unless you finish the installation after February 1st of this year. Then you have 90 days, which I believe would be 90 days from May 1st, basically, to fill that application out. For the commercial industry, those ports, yes, so long as it's after June 1st of 2023, right? Okay. June 1st of 2023, between then and now, if you finish installation between then and now, you can still apply up until May 15th. So that's only 2 weeks away. That's why we're really kind of rushing that DMP aspect or application.
All right, so what are the next steps for a residential or commercial applicant in this process to access these resources? Like what's their very next step? other than filling out the exit survey on your way out?
Yeah, I would say definitely, I mean, maybe contacting a contractor and seeing how much your job will cost and, get a proposal. So if you're a business in public, customer, definitely. Thank you. Thank you. So I would say, get a proposal from a contractor and just so you know what your project's going to cost. And then you can figure out the numbers that way. And if anyone needs any help calculating it out, and please feel free to reach out to us.
I believe I may have missed the part where you talked about the assessments or any assessments that assist in identifying the feasibility of adopting EV, or do you all have resources or assessments that'll help you identify the feasibility?
For residential specifically, that EV calculator is how you can calculate the adoption of the vehicle itself. For the charging and the installation of that, you would have to reach out to a contractor. The costs of that do vary on the type of home you have, as well as the work that's already been done on ComEd's side of the meter. Some buildings, have the infrastructure that can bear that load meaning like kilowatt outage, and some do not have that capability already. For business and public, though, you can get that work done. That's the make-ready rebate. When it comes to residential, we just pay for the charger and the installation. So the cost does vary, but an electrician contracted by the ICC would be able to do that assessment for you and give you a quote.
Would they get the quote free?
Uh,
A free quote for the comment preferred contractors?
Gene, do you know if the BEASPs are doing those free assessments?
I don't want to answer for them, but
Yeah, that's a good question.
say there's plenty of them to reach out to, and that I would find one that,
Okay, and is there technical assistance for these different applications, or grants, I should say, to assist residents or
There's the
business
customer
owners?
cares team we have the email and phone number on the back for helping out fill the application, and that's going to be super useful for the business and public sector, especially. That application is a little bit more intensive. I've gone through both of the applications. The residential one is pretty straightforward, but if you still need help, you can still reach out to the customer support team. We are also working on currently, doesn't exist yet, but some kind of tutorial to walk people through the application process, as well as what to expect once they hit that submit button. But that's a great question. We're still working on that. Yeah, please add.
So on the business and public sector, I would say go ahead and contact me, just because those are a little more custom. So I would definitely reach out to my email or my direct line for those. Yeah.
Thank you. We only have, well, I'll spare you the last one, but I'll give you one more. What are the economic opportunities around EV adoption, i.e. like training and workforce development? Can you share any opportunities that we can look forward to possibly?
On the ComEd.com/clean page, as well as the EV rebates that we're talking about today, there's also a list of other federal incentives or federal rebates that exist for EV adoption. Beyond that, I believe there are certain groups that you can reach out to for, you said workforce development?
Yeah.
That I don't know much about. Yeah, we can look into that for you, though. As far as ComEd goes, we don't run anything like that. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. I'm in the business of asking questions where you have the answer or not.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, so I'm definitely eager to follow up on that. And I want to ask the crowd and attendees, do you all have any, last questions for the Walker Miller Energy Services team?
Let me just clarify, just went out for ComEd. They do actually offer workforce development opportunities for EV adoption, as well as overhead linemen and an array of opportunities for job opportunities in terms of careers at ComEd, as well as Exelon, as well as our partners that we work with on a contractual basis in terms of our electrical contractors of choice. So if you're interested in that, you could definitely check out our ComEd website and our Construct program, as well as our overhead lineman program, as well as our EV adoption program. So we do have specific programs geared towards workforce development in the energy sector of renewables at ComEd.
Thank you, Court. Any other lingering questions? You know, this is the time here now.
I think I saw on the slide that there were some income requirements as it relates to EV charging stations. So I guess my question is why? If we're trying to reduce gas house emissions and we're trying to make the world a better place in terms of sustainability, why are there income requirements when we want everybody to participate in the program? We want to reduce gas house emissions.
So the requirements are only if you're going to get the higher rebate amount, and that's it. But you're still going to qualify. There's a base rate or a base rebate, and then a select rebate. So there's only income requirements if you want the higher rebate amount. Yeah.
Any other questions?
To kind of go even deeper into that, to answer your question about why are we, requiring that we check income, I think it's important to note that, like Winton pointed out, a lot of communities with low income have been excluded from the EV wave and the EV adoption. So we're trying to incentivize that with an even higher, I think it's about 50% rebate overall, to encourage people who might not have the upfront capital to invest in EV infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, in a way, that's kind of like a reinforcement to an equity initiative to ensure that, the folks who need it are actually getting it. But definitely a good question. I'm sure there are multiple ways that we could go about it, ensuring that we can even be even more inclusive and equitable as we move forward in this transition as a whole. So overall, that does kind of conclude the presentation for this evening. We will kind of be hanging out to field any additional questions, to point you to resources. I hope everyone in attendance got their packet full of the resources and links shared by the Walker Miller Energy Services team. Thank you all so much again for coming out today. Thank you to the Village of Broadview team, Ms. Jones, always holding us down, and obviously to Mayor Katrina Thompson for being here as well. Appreciate your attendance as well, Mr. Foster, and everyone who's come out today. Together we have to collectively, raise our consciousness, raise our understanding, and become more comfortable with having these conversations, because it's only going to start from us communicating with each other inside our communities and throughout our communities to really engage in these adoption opportunities as a whole. So a lot of different opportunities coming out. You can expect to get a follow-up email from myself if you register for the event. We actually have an exit survey as well that we would like you all to fill out, give us some feedback. Again, we will be bringing this into a lot of our communities, so obviously we want to improve over time. We are in the stages where we're kind of developing and somewhat finalizing the Village of Broadview's comprehensive plan. That's why this meeting was so important. And why we need your continuous feedback and involvement in all of these things going on for the community. Community-based sustainability is the understanding that everything we do affects our neighbor. There are no lines that divide us from, the trials and tribulations of environmental justice. So let's continue to work together, and I'll stick around, and we'll stick around if you all have additional questions. Thank you.
If you'd like a handout too, I have some more.